Hi, welcome to my channel. If you are new here, I am an artist. I do makeup. I do a bunch of different things. Sorry, the dog just ran in here. But yeah, I'm an artist. I do makeup and a whole bunch of other little different things that I'll talk about in like other videos. This video in particular is for people who have been keeping up with my cancer journey. Like if you watched my I have cancer video all the way up until this point, if you're somebody who follows me online and I've been talking about my cancer journey, then like this coincides with that, the portion of the internet where I share my cancer journey. This video in particular is about my plastic surgeon. And I had two plastic surgeons at first, but then I had one and then it was him and then another surgeon, like his whole team. Like, it's a bunch of characters in the story, and if you haven't been keeping up, then you may get lost. So I'm just gonna, put that little warning, that little PSA out there. One, I do apologize for my voice. It is not as tip top as it should be. It sounds a little better than it did last week. So let's get into it. We're gonna take this story way back, like over a year ago, leading up to the surgery. Because I didn't just meet the surgeon at the surgery and boom, I have surgery. There was like a meetup, a consultation, and like different follow-ups. So there's levels to this. I do have to warn you. So I had two plastic surgeons. The main plastic surgeon, she's the oncology plastic surgeon. She was in charge of doing my mastectomy and testing the remaining breast tissue to make sure that the chemo worked and killed all the cancer. Like, she was responsible for removing all my breast tissue and some lymph nodes, because I did have cancer like in my lymph nodes because it was like spreading. I had stage 3 breast cancer on my left side. So she was like in charge of doing that. Where this other guy comes into play is he's like a regular plastic surgeon that just so happens to work with oncology patients, but he is not an oncology plastic surgeon. Now, an oncology plastic surgeon, they are an oncologist that knows how to do surgery. A plastic surgeon is just someone that went to medical school and then they went into plastic surgery. So that's like where those two kind of separate. My oncology plastic surgeon is a woman. My plastic surgeon is a man. A bald-headed middle-aged man. I do not know his race or his ethnicity, but it's looking like, I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say that, but like, he looks like he could be either Middle Eastern or like Armenian or something like that. But the vibes are very much colonizer energy. So when I first met this man, he was already annoyed with me because he had like a medical assistant in the room with me first, and that was also a man, and most of the people he works with are men, which I just found weird because, like, why do I have to come to the doctor's office and take my shirt off and show my tits to a whole group of men?
He should make... Why would a man be there? Why would a man be there? No, it's actually pissing me off. Oh my god, it pisses me off. Why would a man be there? Why do you want to be there? Like, you're literally in my fucking space. Like, oh my god, I'm literally gonna freak out. I'm not kidding.
And then he was fucking rude. The guy comes in and he asks me questions. I don't remember all the questions, but it was one of the questions he asked me was like, am I interested in keeping my nipples? And I said yes. I thought that was an odd question because I had already cleared that with the oncologist and the oncology plastic surgeon. So I don't get why this guy was asking me about that again when I had already said yes. And they said that it's not medically necessary for me to remove them so I can keep them. Thought that was the end of that. It was not. So he goes out the room, and then the plastic surgeon comes in. Like, he comes in with a clipboard. He's already annoyed at what he's seeing on the clipboard. He's like, so I see you want to keep your I see you insist on keeping your nipples.
What happened to hello? How are you? My name is.
Anyway, so I said yes. And then he's like, well, I don't really think it's a good idea. I think that you should get rid of them. You're not gonna like them. They're gonna fall off anyway. You might as well just let me remove them. I'm like, no, I'm gonna keep them. It's like, all right. And he was annoyed with me the rest of the appointment. And I go back to the other oncology surgeon and I'm like, it's okay for me to keep my nipples, right? She's like, yeah, we talked about this. Why you bring it up again? It's like, because the other guy, he keeps asking me about like removing my nipples, and every time I go in there, he like tries to scare me away from keeping my own nipples. And she's like, oh, don't worry about that. Ignore him. You can keep your nipples. It's not medically necessary for you to remove them based on the placement of your tumors. Like, that's not even a factor. I don't know what his problem is. Just ignore him. It'll be all right. So I thought, okay, whatever. And then I go to see him again. And every time I see this man, he walks in, he's annoyed that I want to keep my nipples, and he tries to scare me. One time he told me, they're going to be facing like this, and you're not going to like them. And another time he told me, they're going to be facing like this, and you're not going to like them. And then another time he told me, they're going to be like this or this, and then you're not going to like them. Another time he told me, they're going to be facing the ground. They're going to be pointing down to the floor, and they're going to be underneath your boobs. They're not going to be in the right place, and you're going to hit them.
What? Child. Anyway, so.
Another time he told me, well, they're going to fall off anyway, so you might as well let me remove them. I asked the oncology plastic surgeon, and she was like, I mean, that happens sometimes, but as long as you...
Bombastic side eye. Criminal offensive side eye.
That's not really a factor. And then he started talking about some, oh, you know, we offer free tattoos for the oncology patients, and they have really good tattoo artists, and they can make them look really nice and realistic. And I'm like, I do not want a nipple tattoo. I want to keep my nipples. Every time I come in here, you try to scare me away from keeping my nipples. You get an attitude at me because I want to keep my own fucking body parts. It's bad enough I have cancer. It's bad enough I have to get a mastectomy in the first place. And you're making it worse because you're judging me for wanting to keep my own nipples. Because, I don't know, I guess it was extra steps in the surgery that he just like didn't want to do. And he just thought it was annoying. All the way up until like a few minutes before I got put to sleep, this guy comes into the room, you know, like I'm in the hospital room getting prepped for surgery, and he comes in, he's like, for the last time, do you want to keep your nipples? I was like, for the last time, yes. The fuck? Anyways, so I get to keep my nipples. And, you know, I go through the whole reconstruction process, which is a different video in and of itself. So I don't see this guy for like a year or so. Even when I go in for like post-surgery checkups, like that's with a nurse, it's with his surgery team, but it's not with him. So I started seeing this guy again a couple of months ago. Not even a couple months ago. Like literally a month ago. Like after a whole year, you know, healing, nipples, no problems with them, nothing, fine. And I thought, you know, like, I really want to get a different surgeon. I didn't really like that guy. Why did I have to fight with him to try and keep my nipples? Well, I got to keep my nipples. You know what? There's nothing else to, like, argue with him about. So I guess it should be fine. If I try and get with another surgery, it'll probably delay the whole process and be a whole thing. I just want to get it over with. It's already been delayed by 2 months because I was supposed to get my surgery in December and then January, and then now it's February, and I'm just now getting this surgery. So let me just go ahead and get out of the way. That was a mistake. I was wrong, and I should have gotten somebody else to do it.
Get somebody else to do it.
Alright, so I see this guy a month ago, and he's like, oh, I see your nipples that didn't fall off. But he just starts pointing out all of this stuff around my body that is not an issue, was never an issue.
I think you're fat.
Yeah,
it's just my opinion. I'm not bullying you. I'm just giving you I think you're ugly. I think you're fat. I think you're stupid.
I never said anything about being insecure about my body. I never said anything about not liking the way any parts of my body looks. But he comes in and he's like picking my boobs up, and he's like picking up side fat that used to be there and like all this other stuff. He's like, yeah, see, you have discoloration from radiation that's always going to be there. You can come back and we can take some skin from your thigh and then put it in your chest so that both of the breasts match in the color, and you don't have to worry about any discoloration. And you can come back and we can get some more fat from a different body part and put it in your breast to make it look even more natural and bigger. And then in a couple of years, when it starts to sag and like you have more space there, you can come back and you can get bigger implants. And then for now, like, since we're already getting fat from your abdomen to go into your breasts to make them look more natural, we can also get rid of this. And he like points to all my side fat and side boob fat. He's like, yeah, you see this? That doesn't look good. We're gonna get rid of that. And I was like, no, I don't want any of that. Just stick to the surgery that we already agreed on.
What happened to the original plot of the movie? What happened to the original plot of the movie?
Just remove the fat that is medically necessary to go in my chest. No more. I don't want all that extra stuff. I'm not coming back here. Just focus on that. And then he looks at my chemo port with disgust, like he's just so annoyed that I have it. He's like, oh, you don't have your chemo port? Do you need that? I'm like, yes, I'm about to have surgery with you, which is what this thing is for. He's like, oh, I guess. That was a red flag that I should not have ever ignored, because it just kept getting worse. So I see this guy again, day of surgery, still annoyed that I have my chemo port, and he still asked me like, oh, do you want us to remove it? And I was like, no, leave it alone. He's like, all right, I'll leave it alone. He did not, because his whole surgery team kept running in my room, and one of them was like, oh, she has a chemo port. Why? It's like, oh, we're gonna have to take it out. Like, oh, I hate working around chemo ports. Oh, I hate when patients have chemo ports. You're in the wrong fucking field. You're in the wrong fucking field if you're annoyed that the cancer patients that you're operating on have a fucking chemo port. If you guys were able to work around my chemo port last year, because the operation took place under my chest, not in this area at all, then there's absolutely no reason for you to try to do that. So he's annoyed. The other nurse explains to him, like, no, we're not doing that. Another girl comes in, and she is dumb as a box of rocks, I swear. So she comes in, she's like, oh, she has a chemo port. It's like, yes, she has that because she doesn't want to be poked. And then the girl turns, looks at me, and she's like, I don't get it. Why don't you want to be poked? Like, what do you mean, why don't I want to be poked? What the fuck are you talking about? I don't want to be poked. That's the whole purpose of the chemo port. And then another man comes in, and he's like, oh, like, your chemo port's going to be hard for us to work around. We'll keep it for now. But, we may have to switch to an IV. Now you say you don't want to be poked. I'm going to give you this sleeve that you can put on this arm. And we know not to do pokes or anything. And then when we do the IV, we'll do it on your right hand. So you don't have to worry about, like, you being poked or anything. So you might wake up with an IV in your right hand. Don't be alarmed if that's something we have to do. It's like, okay, fine. Whatever. And then as the day progresses, so it's time for them to transfer me from the hospital room to, like, the official operating room. And last year they put me to sleep before taking me to that room, but this year they didn't. So I'm hearing the conversation that, like, the surgery tech and one of the surgeons are having, and they're just talking shit about me and having a chemo port. And he's like, oh, are we gonna remove it? I hate when patients have a chemo port. It's so annoying, hard to deal with. And he's like, no. And then I'm like, no. And then he looks at me like I'm not even supposed to be talking right now. Like, bitch, what the fuck? So I get to the operating room. They transfer me from one bed to another bed. And it's just way too much shit going on. Like, there's big ass lights in my face. There's lights on the walls. Everybody's covered in all white. There's some people on my legs putting stuff on my legs to, like, keep up the circulation. There's some people poking me in the toes, like, oh, can you feel this? Can you feel that? At one point, they take, like, a seatbelt and, like, strap me to the table. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck? I'm about to have surgery. Why are you strapping me to the table? Like, the fuck? And then another person is, like, putting stickers on me on this side and then on this side, and then this person's in my face and that person's in my face and that person's in my face. So of course I started freaking out. So they started complaining because they couldn't start the surgery because my blood pressure had gone up and, like, my pulse was way too high. And they had already put, like, the oxygen mask on me so I couldn't talk. But, like, they didn't put the oxygen mask on me all the way. The surgeon is, like, pressing it down on my face. Like, he's pressing my face like this with the oxygen mask, and it's, like, uneven and stuff. And they're like, you need to calm down. You need to calm down because your blood pressure is too high. Your heart rate is too high. We can't operate on you if you're going to be like this. We can't give you the medication needed to put you to sleep because your heart rate is too high. Your pulse is too high. This is unacceptable. We can operate on you under these conditions. And it's like, they just keep, so they're mad at me for having a natural stress response to a stressful situation while they are actively stressing me out. Annoyed. So I wake up. First of all, they told me when I woke up that they were going to do a swallow test on me. Like, they were going to give me some food to, like, see how well I'm able to swallow. And depending on those results, depending on whether or not I had to stay at night, whether or not I needed to, like, go for further testing or whatever, they did not do that test when I woke up. I woke up, didn't give me anything to drink until, like, it was time for me to go. They told me not to have any food or water at midnight the day before. So there was, like, nothing in my system. There's a big ass fucking IV in my right arm when it was supposed to be in my hand, not my arm, because we've already had this conversation. Like, why is there IV in my arm? And it's a fucking huge ass one. And I'm just like, oh, fuck. Getting on my damn nerves. So I guess there was their little way of having the last word because they didn't like me advocating for myself or whatever. So it's time for me to go, and I'm asking one of the surgeons. I was like, hey, where is the physical therapy person that I'm supposed to meet with? Like, did anybody get me a physical therapist? And he looks at me confused, like, oh, you don't need physical therapy. You just need to get up and walk around a couple of times a day to make sure you don't get blood clots. So last year when I had my mastectomy, there was a physical therapist there, and she talked to me about different ways that I should sit up, get up out of bed, and get in bed. And she showed me like some arm exercises to do, and she talked about how like you have to do that to keep from getting lymphedema, which makes like your arms swell up and all of that, which I ended up getting at a later time for a different unrelated reason. Different video, different day. But yeah, they didn't talk to me about any of that stuff. They just told me to walk it off. Surgery. Also, they gave me pain meds to take home, but like the pain meds they gave me in surgery wasn't lasting long after surgery. So like I was in pain when I woke up, and they wouldn't give me pain meds. They wouldn't give me pain meds, and then they told me that they gave me a limited prescription for pain meds because it was an opiate and you can get addicted to them. And so my surgery was on Friday, February 9th. I only had enough pain pills to last until like Thursday the next week, and that's only because I forgot to take a few of them on like Tuesday and Wednesday, so the pills are probably only gonna last until like Tuesday or Wednesday at best. And then they told me that once the pain pills run out, I can't take ibuprofen or Tylenol or anything like that because like the pain pills are addictive and all this other stuff. So I've been actively in pain. Also, they told me not to shower until 3 days later after surgery, and then so I didn't notice that like all my side fat was gone until like 3 days later because I still had my bandages and stuff on, like the original ones that came back from the hospital. I did go home and wash up. Like my partner helped me to wash up. I already have a shower chair, and like I was able to like take a washcloth and like get my arms, like my neck and everything. But like because I couldn't get water on my midsection, I had to be very strategic about that. So I didn't touch this area at all. Like I knew I was in pain, but I had the pain pills and whatnot. So it wasn't until 3 days later when I took my bandages off that I saw all these extra nicks on my sides. And when I took my binder off, I saw my sides were completely red. I can't show you because it's not red anymore. And I didn't take any pictures like a week ago, like I should have. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, so the plastic surgeon proceeded to remove all of my side fat, all my back fat, all of my side boob fat that was not medically necessary for the procedure because that doesn't look good. I want to get rid of it. So basically he thought that my side fat was ugly and he didn't want to look at it, so he got rid of it for me. I guess he was doing me a favor or whatever, but like I never asked for that. I never wanted it. I repeatedly said multiple times that like that's not necessary. I don't want that. Just focus on the surgery you were good on. But yeah, I haven't been able to sit up straight or stand up straight or walk straight for the past week because in addition to healing from my chest surgery, I'm also dealing with like my abs and like my side area. I didn't have surgery on that last year. He ended up removing all my side fat because it was ugly and he didn't feel like me having it or whatever the fuck.